live here. You can see Hexa in the background here. Give us a minute. We're going to see if all the stream is coming through the right way, the audio is coming up. And if everything is good, then we're going to roll right into this in a second. Okay, I've got the thumbs up. Looks like everything's good. Welcome, y'all, on behalf of Lift Aircraft, doing a first live stream for us and for maybe all eVTOLs as well. So really happy to be here today. My name is Jace McCown. I go by Digit. That's my call sign. And so we're just so excited to be able to do this with you guys today. Welcome to our facility here outside of Austin, Texas. This is where we're doing our beta flights that we've been doing for a while now with our customers. And we're happy to show you a flight live from on board. But first, there's other things here. So I'm going to turn this around real quick and show you. We get some questions, you might imagine, about the function of this aircraft. How do we do it? What all goes into it? And I'll say there's a lot to it. So one of the most common ones we get is about this guy here, our remote pilot command. Okay, so you'll see me with this device in my hands in some of our videos, standing next to our ground station here. So we have some folks on the ground as a part of the ground crew who are supporting the pilot in the air. And that means we're in a two-way conversation like I'm having. Well, it's one way right now. You can respond to me in the comments right now, ask questions, and we might get around to answering some of those later along. So this is a two-way conversation. But during our training flights, it is a live two-way conversation between the pilot on board and our ground station crew here, who has a whole lot of information that gets presented at this ground station. They have two monitors here that are full of live display back from the aircraft telemetry, telling us all the detailed status of what's going on with the aircraft. And then, if something were to happen, we can always take over in case of an emergency with this remote control. So that is what the purpose of this device is for. We are not flying this aircraft remotely with someone on board. That wouldn't be in line with ultralight regulations. So, and that's part of what is amazing about this aircraft is ultralight. So I'm going to walk out to Hexa, coming out to show you the bird. But while we do so, I'm going to talk about ultralight and what it means and why that lets us do what we can do. So ultralight is this very specific cutout in the regulation. It's Part 103, and that allows us to fly an aircraft under certain conditions, certain configuration, which we maintain, and that allows us to fly with no pilot's license. So that's a big deal for a lot of our customers who are coming in. And then it also allows us to fly without having this aircraft been certified through some of the traditional channels. And as long as we meet the requirements of that regulation, we can do that. And that means that you can come to us, and in about 30 minutes of training, we can get you on board the aircraft. So we made our way out here. And here is Hexa right here. She is an all-electric aircraft, 18 rotors, 18 individual batteries. I'll show you that right here, right now. We're going to load up a battery for you and show you how that works. And this is an amazing thing because, one, it gives us a lot of redundancy. The fact that our batteries are completely independent means that, one, like this, when we're done with a flight, we load up a battery, and then that motor is ready to go. So it is just that quick to take off and put on a brand new battery to get the aircraft back up in the air to serve customers, okay? So that's a big deal, but it also means that a fault in any individual battery or motor throughout the aircraft does not affect the rest of them. They will have to pick up the load if we lose a battery or motor in flight. But you can actually go back to the Lift Aircraft channel and find that we did a video posted in public of a live manned motor out test with my chief engineer, Balaj, who's here. He just did this battery load, but he was the one who actually flew that test. So go back into our channel after the stream is complete and go watch that video and show that we did that manned test already to just show how redundant this system is, even with the loss of a single motor like that. Moreover, a single motor is just kind of the beginning. With 18 rotors, we can potentially lose as many as 6. It has to be the right 6, but we can lose as many as 6 and still say airborne. Okay, so I'm going to walk you around the aircraft again. One of the other constraints for ultralight here, and sorry, it's a little windy. I'm not the best cameraman, but one of the other constraints we have with ultralight is single seat. So you will see that this aircraft is a single-place aircraft, okay? Only room for one. One of the other things ultralight allows us to do is to gain additional weight allowance by having flotation devices, okay? So on board the aircraft, its leg structures, those big bulbs at the end, are actually floats designed to help the aircraft float and be very stable with those distributed float systems. So there's the 6 exterior floats and then kind of the one center float under the center. Okay, so that's how Hexa is arranged. And then on top, not in the show today, but there is room right on the top. Oh, I'm going to do this weird thing. I'm going to point. So that is where our ballistic parachute would go, and that will allow us to have a safe landing, even if something dreadful were to happen from high altitude. Now, because it's not installed today and it's not installed during our beta flights, we are limiting our risk by keeping below 30 feet altitude. What is amazing about the ballistic parachute that we've selected and designed this whole aircraft around is that it is capable of deploying as low as 40 feet and stopping the aircraft safely. Okay, a lot of chutes aren't capable of that, and that's because of the ballistic nature of the chute that we've chosen for this. Allows it to be safe at a very low altitude. Okay, I've done a lot of talking here. What else can I talk about? Okay. So I'm going to introduce next the controls here, but it looks like we've got a question that's come in about the batteries. So yes, the question that we've got is, can these batteries be charged all at the same time? And yes, and they can be charged offline, off the aircraft. We have a charging system where we mount all these batteries. And what's also great about having these batteries off the aircraft is that we can have multiple sets of batteries waiting in the wings, ready to go, as many as we need to kind of have continuous operations, okay? So this isn't the only set. We've got multiple sets, okay? And yes, these are a lithium chemistry battery. We had a question come through about whether these are lithium batteries, and yes, they are. They're a lithium polymer is specifically the type of chemistry we're using for this. So let's dive in real quick here to the controls, okay? So there's been some other places that have talked about this previously, but here is the joystick. For those of you who don't know, it is just one control to rule them all. Right across the top here, we've got a set of buttons that kind of take care of some of our automated sequences. So takeoff, land, and return to home, okay? And then there is this thumb wheel in the middle that we roll up and down like this, okay? And in normal, it is just sitting in the middle here, but I can roll it up and I can roll it down. And if I let go, it just goes right back to the middle, okay? And that is your elevation control, okay? So we're making the aircraft go up and down with that wheel, okay? And then as you might expect, this joystick moves. If I tilt it forward, I'm going to move the aircraft forward, okay? Back, you can guess it goes back. Left and right may do something different than you expect if you are a traditional aircraft pilot, okay? When I roll left and right, Hexa is going to move left and right straight sideways, okay? on the front of the joystick, we have another one of these cool wheels, okay? And again, it is sprung into the center, but what that does for us is yaw control. So when I twist this, the direction I point my finger, oh, got to get some focus here. The direction I point my finger is the direction my nose will move as I rotate this yaw control in the front. So by doing that, we have control over all 4 axes, okay, on a single inceptor, an input device, okay? So that is how we're able to get away with that right there. And then you'll notice too, all the axes of control were sprung to the center. So if I let go of the stick while we're flying, the aircraft will stop whatever she's doing and return to a stable hover. So we'll demonstrate that once we get on board. And then we also have a tablet display. We have that there in the middle. I'm going to walk around. We have a 4-point seatbelt you'll see me put on in just a second. And then our tablet display right here is going to give our pilots on board information about what's going on. But I promise you, that's my hand you just saw. I promise you that you're going to have your eyes outside while you're flying this aircraft. And that's why having good communication with our ground crew is really important as well. We're going to keep you informed. We're watching the status of the aircraft so you don't have to, and you can enjoy this first flight and get really immersed in what's going on. Okay, I think it's about time. I'm going to climb on board if you guys are ready for this. Okay, so Balazs, you're going to take this while I climb up. Okay, grabbing the handle right here to climb aboard. Left foot first. Kind of just swing into things. Seatbelt, 4-point harness. Okay, got my shoulders in place. And then look, it's even color-coded. Look at that. So I'm color-coded. I'm going to get everything linked up here. Okay, Balazs, you're coming on board to do our camera work, aren't you? No, you're going to leave it to me. Okay, so here's the view from the pilot seat. Out there, that's my ground crew. Okay, Balazs, I think we're good to go. So I'm gonna hold the camera right here while I do the flight. So remember, we had the advantage of this one-handed control. So we're gonna put it to the test right here. Oh, and you know what? I forgot to button my chin strap. Okay, so I'm gonna get that done real quick. It's gonna be a little awkward while this happens. All right. My guys are getting ready back there while I button this up. You know, I should have probably just put the phone down, but now it's a little too late. We've already, you know, it's never too late. Okay, you're going to look at the sky. Welcome to the top of Hexa while I button this up. I'm also going to kind of tame my beard so that it's not too distracting and taking over the show while we do this. Okay. I'm so sorry for letting you down like that, but I got you back again. Okay, so we're in the seat. We're all buckled. Helmets up, wait. Okay, eye protection. There we go. Because guess what? We're low to the ground. We kick up a lot of air while we're doing this, so we do have everybody wear goggles. Bad day if you get dirt in your eye. Okay, and that's it. I think we're ready to start these motors, engines. Let's start your engines. I think that works really well. So I think we're ready for that. We're going to get these things booted up. So I do have my ground crew talking into my ear. I know you can't hear them. I'm sorry you can't be in on that conversation. But we are getting the motors ready here. They're doing their last bit of final checks, making sure that everything's ready to go. And then, just like for you, we're going to boot the motors up. Okay? So now there they are. Look at them go. And I promise, this may come across weird, cell phones, the way they record video. So I promise they're actually turning at full speed. It just looks a little funny sometimes if you catch any weirdness, okay? But like that, they're on. And electric just start, stop at the click of a button. And now We're ready to take off. I'm ready if you are. So here I am. I'm just going to press this top button, taking off, and that's it. Hey, look, Ma, no hands. I hope my mom's watching, by the way. If she is, she should definitely comment down below on the stream. And that's it. Hey, guys, we're up in the air. That's it. That's all it takes. And now I have control over the aircraft. So one of the first things I have our folks do is test out that climb. So I'm going to roll the thumb wheel up, and we're climbing away from the ground, right, until we get to about 30 feet. And then we stop because we have a limit on how high the aircraft can go, like we talked about before, since we don't have a parachute on board. Okay, let's go down and see how close to the ground we can get. So now I'm rolling that thumb wheel down. Here comes the ground. It's coming up to meet us. But at about 6 feet above the ground, it stops. I'm still pressing down, but the aircraft is limited from going down any further than this, okay? And that helps keep us safe. So next, you know what's going to be great? We're going to yaw, and this is one of my favorite, especially while we're low to the ground. So that's that index finger, remember? I'm going to spin the aircraft in space right here. Awesome. Roundy, roundy. Just super stable. And hey, there's our shadow. I love seeing our shadow. Okay, so that's that. I'm going to reorient just a little here before I show us how we go forward and back, okay? So lean in the stick all the way forward. Speed is limited to about 9 miles an hour right here, so speed is going forward. Then I let go, and she stopped for us right there. You can see the blue cone in frame. Okay, and I'm coming backwards, okay? And I can't see behind me, but my ground crew is taking care of it as I come back, okay? Same thing, I let go, drift just a hair, and then she'll hold position. And right now, the movement that you see kind of going on in the background is the aircraft compensating for the wind. It's obviously doing all that on its own while I'm talking to you, so she's helping me fly. Hexa's a really good co-pilot. Back up a little bit. I want to round a little bit up here. So we already went up and down. We did our yaw. That's our twisting motion. We went forward and back. Okay, let's slide a little bit. So I'm just pushing the joystick straight away from me, straight out, and moving sideways across the ground here. Easy peasy. This is how simple it is. Okay, we're going to come back. We're slide to the left, okay? I think I know a dance like that. Coming back, sliding back over. Okay, awesome. So that's it. Forward, back, left, right, up, down, yaw, left and right. Those are our axes of control. Now we can combine them, okay? So I'm going to come and go down and spin and slide all at the same time. And in this envelope that we have set up right now, we are limited so that we can make this safe and throw the stick around and do basically whatever you want, however you want. And it is safe, okay? Everything is limited there. Awesome. So I'm going to show maybe a little bit of an advanced maneuver here. I'm going to turn the camera around real quick. We'll show you some stuff. Okay, so here's the iPad. Okay, so you can see that the limits, my horizontal limits are displayed here, as well as my battery, where my home location is at. Oops, sorry, I messed that up with my finger. Got the focus all messed up. But then looking out in front of the aircraft here, I have this cone. So I'm going to do what's called an orbit. So I'm going to move around this cone, keeping my nose facing it, okay, as we go around. So I'm combining my slide maneuver with my yaw maneuver to make this happen. Okay, so this is something you might do in a helicopter. Not really something you're going to do. It's a little windy. Sorry for the phone shake here, folks. Not something you're going to do in a fixed-wing aircraft so much. But these kind of maneuvers are all capable just with this one hand because of the aircraft that we have. Okay, pass back to my other hand. Pardon. Okay, And now we're just low. We're 6 feet off the ground, folks. You can see shadow down here, 6 feet off the ground, just cruising without a care in the world. Okay, we've got a blue cone off here. I don't know if you can see that coming into frame. Okay, that's the limit of our geofence. That's where we have a border here that's going to prevent you from flying around outside of this. And that helps keep our first-time customers contained, if you will, and in a safe, known area. I'm just talking and trying and spinning around. It's easy, y'all. It does not take an expert pilot to do this, okay? Well, I'm going to go ahead and bring the aircraft back for a landing. We got our landing spot over here, okay? We do have some more time, but golly, I don't want to bore everybody. Okay, so we're back over our landing position, okay? And stay on the stream, okay, even after we land here, because we're going to go inside. No cuts. We're going right inside to do some questions. Okay, so Hex has been holding us in a good spot right over our landing position. I'm going to press the top middle button here, pressing that, and it's a landing, okay? She's going to go all the way to the ground. That's our foot is on the ground here, okay? She may settle a bit. There she goes as she finds the ground. During that spool down, the motors are going to spool down here. My crew is going to tell me that we're safe, and then we'll get out of the aircraft and go inside. So just a quick little flight to get you guys taste. Ooh, wow, the wind. Oh, it does a number on a guy's mustache. What are you going to do? I don't know. Okay, we're going to hop on out. We're going to take you straight inside, and we're going to answer some of these questions that I've seen popping up that I couldn't really address because I'm flying a drone thing. Is it a drone? That is a remark, right? What do we call these things? eVTOLs, which stands with electrical vertical takeoff and landing. That's a common one that's thrown around, but it's kind of a mouthful, and nobody knows what you're talking about. So a lot of times we'll say drone, but you're flying from on board. It flies like a drone, uses a lot of the same principle that you have out of a multi-copter drone, but it's not really a drone because you're on board, right? How could it be a drone if you're on board? So we're still figuring these things out. Flying car, that's another one. Quick peek of what it's like to come in a lift aircraft. We won't dawdle. Hey, I saw myself talking to myself. So training here inside a HyperWorks facility. 4 simulators are set up, so when you come to us, you spend a little bit of time in virtual reality learning to fly this before we go out and fly actually on the aircraft. But I'm going to walk you in here right now and introduce you to Matt Chasen, CEO of Lift Aircraft, and we're going to come in here and answer some questions for you. So.
I understand that we've got maybe some questions that have been floating around, or you can just let me continue to blab.
Yeah.
That's also.
No, I've been following questions, Jace. Kudos on the great flight. A lot of questions on flight time and batteries. And,
okay.
So yeah, let's talk a little bit about flight time.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was a little bit of an abbreviated flight. Again, I didn't want to hang you guys out there just watching me spin in circles and have an epic time. But right now we're seeing anywhere from 8 to 10 minutes of flight time during our customer experience, which includes like a two takeoff and landings, and then instructional course on flying the aircraft with the instructor. So,
and that's with a safety margin.
Yeah, and that's with some safety margin on the back end for that. That weight, the time difference there, that range kind of is dependent on both the customer's weight, payload, if you will, and then weather conditions too. You can imagine that the aircraft has to work a little bit harder when it's windy, and we've kind of been in this season of high winds out here in Austin area with the hot weather we've been having.
Ooh. And that corresponds roughly to the max gross.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the
less weight is more flight time.
Exactly.
Yes. Up to maybe 15, 16 minutes for minimum payload. Yeah.
And this is a limitation, of course, of batteries today. This is where we're at with batteries. And then of course, because of Hexa's simple multi-copter configuration, that means we're in hover flight most of the time. And helicopter guys know that hover flight is actually requires quite a bit more power than forward flight or wing-borne flight. So what has allowed us to get here is in this safe multi-copter, super redundant fashion, is playing a little bit of part into the flight times that we have as well.
So we're getting a lot of questions too on when can people fly, right? So the status of our development program. I'll give a quick intro to that.
Absolutely.
And then Jace can expand. But we're in what we call beta test flights, right? So we're having real people fly 2 days a week from our flight operations test center here outside of Austin, Texas. So it's one of the last stages of development before we launch commercially. We expect to launch commercially in about Q4 of this year, but we're working on the customer experience, fine-tuning our training program and our operations, as well as training new staff, those sorts of things.
Yeah, absolutely. But we've had a number of folks come through, and I would say off the street, right? They're investors, so they have an interest in lift aircraft, but from all walks of life, right? And the putting folks through this experience with different backgrounds has really informed us in the way that we were hoping to, how we carry this forward, how we conduct this training. And we've made a lot of modifications to what we expected based on those results. So this beta testing that we've been doing has been very fruitful for us.
All right, I think that covers most of the common questions. Do we have any others?
Ownership?
Oh yeah. So
awesome.
When are these for sale?
Yeah.
I guess
My goodness.
we can back up a step. Our primary business model is going to be a location-based service where you can train and basically rent Hexa, pay per flight for the
Yes.
experience of flying. We expect to open that commercially at our first location, actually here near Austin, I said in Q4, and then expand to other sites that we've identified in the U.S., really starting next year as well. In addition to that, we're not selling Hexa to individuals for use on their own. We are selling Hexa to individuals and partners who are going to lease that back to use in our rental fleet. And so we have an ownership program. Invite you to check out our website. Hexa is not an inexpensive aircraft, but purchasing through this ownership program actually could allow you to fly as much as you want for free over a 5-year term. So feel free to check that out. And yeah, we're excited about the success. I think that's 8 of our first 10 Founder Series aircraft are already sold, reserved with deposits. So excited for that too.
Yeah, and what I love about the entire model that we've gone with here from a business standpoint is that ultralights in the past have been more of a hobbyist and a do-it-yourself, literally building your own aircraft, which is a really cool thing. But with the current regulations in place, there's still a gap between us and air taxis, right? These aircraft that are going to be this next wave of electric transportation are being held back by the current regulations in many ways. And Hexa was designed to use the regulations as they exist to get folks up and flying using this new technology, all these assisted features in place today through the ultralight overhead. So a lot of the limitations that the aircraft has are in response to meeting that niche of the ultralight regulations. But it allows folks to just come in and train in 30 minutes and then fly solo, all by yourself. You are the pilot in command on the aircraft in that, and it's new. It's completely unheard of.
And that's really our mission, our goal. Jace is obviously an experienced helicopter pilot. I'm a private pilot. But our mission really is to open up aviation to anyone who has the interest, right? I think Most people don't have the time, money, or skill to fly traditional aircraft, and using this new tech and using this Part 103 ultralight regulation, really I think it's the first time in the world that we can open up aviation really to anyone.
Yeah,
So,
in quite this same way, where you can get up and be in full command of the aircraft. You could go with an instructor and they could walk you along, they can babysit you while you do this, but in this case, after a few minutes of flying, I literally hand our customers the aircraft and say, the aircraft's yours, it is yours, you can do what you want with it in this environment right now. And we call that our free play period at the end of the flight, after you've kind of proven yourself through the training. So
in terms of next steps, as we launch commercially with our beginner training flights, we'll also be simultaneously continuing to advance our development and test program into our advanced flights, intermediate advanced flights, expanding the flight envelope, flying higher, faster, farther.
Yeah.
The regulations allow us to fly anywhere in Class G airspace, which is generally up to 1,200 feet above ground level. Have to stay outside of controlled airspace, but
in most I would say in most spaces, there's actually ways to do that as well, but
So really excited about the medium and long term. A lot of people say, when can I use this for personal transportation? We're really excited as we expand Hexa's uses and range. In fact, really excited about the new FAA rules that they've announced
rule set
for a light sport category that now can include rotorcraft and electric rotorcraft. So that's going to open up the use cases for Hexa going forward to include point A to B and personal transportation. So we're very excited about that.
Yeah, no, this is a stepping stone, right? This is a way to use this technology today with the regulations that already exist and be ready to move forward as regulations continue to progress, as battery technology improves. But we're here already flying, folks, and that's what's amazing, and hopefully open to the general public. Like we say, Q4, we're looking for that.
All right. I think that's a wrap. Thanks everyone for the questions.
Guys, thank you so much
Signing
for coming and joining us on the live stream. If you aren't subscribed to our channel, other than cool videos of me flying around, there hasn't been a lot of reason. We haven't had a lot of content, but you can expect that to start changing as we have folks fly with us on a routine basis. We're kind of lifting the covers on this, if you can't tell. So subscribe, like the video, of course, hit the notification. You know to do all the things. If you're here, you know what to do. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Awkward moment when I turn off the camera.